So I was trying to make a video on why I think Sindel is like not trash, not terrible, but just needs buffs. I was trying to make that and realized I'm not a pro player and I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. And that was me trying to go in depth. So let me just try to break everything down real quick. For starters, this is the only variation that's useful. This whip and flip shit, okay? While the other variations are cool and all, this is the main one you see from other Sindel players, such as myself. I moved on from it because her mix-ups aren't good. She has no real pressure. She's just Sindel. Sindel has, like, a fake scariness about her, if that makes sense. I'm going to explain why. So, overhead, mid. That's the basic string. These two hits are the start of what could be different mix-ups, and I'm gonna tell you why the mix-ups aren't really mix-ups. You really, for the most part, can just block high, right? You block this, the mid ender, that's what it is. You block the mid ender, you get pushed back to -8. The neutral is reset, even though it's mostly on your opponent's side. It's their turn, basically, right? So if they just casually walk up, they're already at an advantage. It's okay for them to walk up. They just don't know it, and that's fine. They'll learn to stop respecting you, but for the meantime, keep going with that follow-up. But on hit, let's see. On hit, it sends them super far away. On top of not being canceled by anything, okay? And I'm gonna get to this fucking move later. So this variation, keep in mind, is not a zoning variation. This is strictly for combos, right? This is where she gets the majority of her damage from, this variation. The others are mostly projectile based, okay? So as for the low, it's -15. You're getting punished, and Jax's mid will just like stuff out anything I try to do, unless it's a block. No, it's punishable by just about every combo starter really in the game, right? Especially like mid combo starters. If it's high, you may get away with like being low to the ground. I don't know, because nobody ever really punishes high like that, but it's punishable, right? There you go, right? Now if you space it out, it can be safe. Now here's the problem with that. That is the last hit of a 3-hit advancing move. Every single part of that advances you. Do you know how far you have to be to actually space that out? Let's see. Look, I'm safe. But who is getting hit in general by this? If you see someone doing this shit full screen and you don't throw a projectile, you are the worst player of all time, okay? Also, on hit, it's a knockdown, right? Which means you're not really getting all that much damage. If the low is the last thing to hit, you're not really getting all that much damage. They can also spend meter to get back, like, in your face. It's not a scary move. Sindel has fake pressure. It's not a good approach. As for her overhead option, it's the same as the low. You get a lot more damage from it, though. Yeah, that's only like a small chunk of health, while the overhead gets you all that. And the overhead does crushing blow, and I'm going to get into that later. I'm not going to lie, I lost track of where I was. But basically, Sindel going into like overhead, mid. Overhead is better, slightly better at the beginning of the match if they're not expecting it. Because most people already know that you can do low. If you're just doing strings, then yeah, you can catch some people with the overhead, right? Problem is, overhead is 21 frames. And that is a lot of time to see a big white woman just flipping into the air. Now, it's great and all that you can, you know, do that from almost full screen. Just about, really. But the overhead itself is very punishable, and I don't know if I mentioned it before because I'm fucking tired, but you can basically just block high the whole time. Because like I said, you're not getting much off of the low. You know, you can take some lows, but if you want to just get back in it, because here's the thing. So overhead, mid, overhead, it has different like frame datas, but not really. Like depending on where you are, this is -19. Doing it close is -21. I think at one point I got -20. But whatever, it's punishable as fuck. So if you're doing this, punishable. Alright, this is high. It's not punishable, but it's still their turn, and it's very apparent that it's their turn because it's not a string with a lot of pushback. It's just a high that can be ducked. But why duck when you can just block and just continue your pressure? Now, I don't want to sound like Murray when he was talking about why would you parry when you can just sidestep, or why sidestep when you can just parry, what the fuck ever he said. Obviously, I know that ducking highs can lead to a lot bigger damage and just avoiding chip damage as a whole. But it's more in the sense of Sindel specifically. Why block low when her low is the ender? And highs, all of her highs are negative, like apparently negative. This is -18 to like 21. This is -8. Well, -7. We can just walk back up. This resets the neutral. -8. You can walk back in. It's not that they're bad follow-ups. It's that you can't get much off of them, which is why they're bad enders in my opinion. Her crushing blows, she has like guessing crushing blows, and I'm going to explain like why those are bad and what that really means in a second once I get my shit together. So the last hit of this move, crushing blows, right? But it only crushing blows when it is the last hit. Now, because it's so fucking apparent that that's what you're going to be going for, they gave her like a little mix-up, right? Barely. In this variation, keep in mind this is the combo variation. Others have a low. She doesn't have any special lows, to my knowledge. You can do her overhead, but that's it. Only in her other variations can this move go into an overhead low situation, which will be better than overhead mid low because there's a break in between. The mid in this string gives you like breathing room, basically. That one move gives you time to think what she's gonna do, and even when she does it, it's just a small chunk of damage, really. On top of the crushing blow that I just mentioned, her hair whip, I don't know if I said it earlier, but that crushing blows too. It crushing blows when it punishes or counter hits a low hitting attack. And those two crushing blows are pretty much dependent on your opponent's like messing up, which is not a good crushing blow to have on a character in my opinion. Her grab crushing blow is the same but better because it specifically plays off the game's like function of having to guess whether the throw is a front throw or back throw and which button to do. That works like in tandem with the game itself. These crushing blows have to play off of the opponent, who can be unpredictable and all sorts of shenanigans and shit, right? For example, I mained Jax before I mained Sindel, which is why I picked him to be the dummy here. Jax's crushing blow, one of which is his projectile. If you used it on a character and it's in a combo of 5 hits or more, it becomes a crushing blow. That can be a part of a staple combo. In fact, it was a staple combo that I used. If I wanted to crushing blow, I would just go for it. I would get more damage off of any combo that I did as long as I had the right starter or if I had the right positioning. But it's not something that I had to rely on the opponent. I had to wait on... I didn't have to wait to use my crushing blow, basically. Scorpion is the same scenario. He has a crushing blow where I believe it's 8 hits or more, and he gets an added bonus of special canceling that crushing blow. Liu Kang also has a similar controllable, crushing blow, to where you can choose to do it within at any point in the match. Like his bicycle kicks, I think you have to do 3 or 4 that are meter burned, and that is perfectly okay because you get to choose whether you want to use that meter or not, or go for the extra damage. And I don't mean whether it's like holding the button and choose to do it. I mean on your own time when you're good and ready and you have this set up, you can just choose when to use it. Sindel can't really do that. All of her crushing blows, except for her grab, have to be like preemptive. And because they're preemptive, you're losing out on like potential damage that could be done. They're going to be done at random times, so maybe you'll be expecting them, maybe you won't. You know, there's a whole big ass animation like the Guilty Gear counter hits, but at the same time, you get my point. You're missing out on damage because you can't do her crushing blows when you want to. Alright, so right now, let's talk about Regal fucking Presence, okay? This move right here. Now, first I'm going to state my personal problem, and then, like, the actual problem with it, okay? Get the fuck, sit down. Okay, my personal problem is that because Mortal Kombat is one of the only fighting games which uses a block button that I play, I'm constantly holding down back. So if I try to punish something with like back X, I like that. If I want to come out of a block with that, I'm still holding, like, I tend to roll over, right? And I get Regal Presence, which means if I'm half the time when I do that shit, my opponents are just like staring at me like, what the fuck is going on? What's about to happen? But nothing happens. And that's the actual problem with Regal Presence. The follow-ups to Regal Presence are only available in another variation, but the move sticks throughout all of the variations. So the only thing you can do is cancel it and fly around, right? And yeah, you can get some good distance. You can go over a couple low fireballs, but a lot of them can actually catch you out the air. Also, I've been trying to incorporate cancels in like pressure using this, because you can just do this, right? That seems super good. But let's just look at everything on block. Okay, I have them set to block everything, right? So check this out. Look, see how fast that is? You would think that would be some like crazy speed that you can just keep pressuring, right? Negative 36, and that's just off of the kick. Oh, negative 28, right? So I've been trying to incorporate that into my game plan, and it works, I would say, 75% of the time, honestly, because it's only been today that someone has punished me. But because it is how it is, negative 29, negative 24, it's not really, it's not anything. Cancels are supposed to make you safer, and this actually is one of the most negative things you can do as Sindel. Alright? And that's me just trying to find ways to use the cancel. Why the fuck would you let me cancel it so early and not be able to do anything with it? Like, look at this. I'm gonna tell you, well, you can actually see when I'm pressing right, but check this out. Just pay attention to the left side. So when I actually start walking, and I'm actually gonna put that shit in slow motion, right? I want y'all to look at this. It's pretty bad. But y'all saw this frame beta, so you know how the actual numbers of how bad it is, right? Again, I think the problem with Regal Presence is that it's spread across the board. Like, it takes up space. I have never used, and this could be a me thing, I am not a professional player. I've never really used Regal Presence to move around the screen. I don't have to, because this does my job for me. If I have an opponent who's throwing projectiles, first off, I'm not using this, because just as an example, Jax can easily just shoot me out the air because his curves. Liu Kang can just shoot me out the air because his fireballs are just high enough to like tap my foot and still knock me out the air. So this move isn't even really evading anything either. It's just levitating. It's a stance that doesn't really do anything, okay? It gives a certain element of surprise, but that's it. So something I just realized, because I only really play ranked matches, is that the follow-ups to this move aren't even tournament legal. So I was wondering why the move was like so bad to me, because you can't even do the follow-ups, which she has 3 of. This one probably being the best one, but even that one isn't all that great. Like, it's a combo starter, but it's like you can't cancel it any earlier. And you have to be right on top of them to actually get something started. You have to be right on top of them for that shit. And this? That's it. You already get a better projectile and a low hitting scream in another variation that's tournament legal. Earlier I mentioned how Sindel is not very scary approaching. She has quote unquote fake pressure, which is pretty reactable, to be honest. Her mids do not help this. The second hit of her standing 1, that is the mid. And that's okay, because most, if not all, characters standing 1 is a high, which can be ducked and punished. Yeah, you got it. That's okay. Everyone has it. What's not okay is this. This right here is a high. And I'm going to tell you why it's not okay that it's not a mid. She only has the 2 mids. Really? She has an advancing mid, which can be really good. It's like, this is a round start type of move. Like, the moment you use it at the start of a round, you're more than likely to get a hit. Because while other characters have up to set up to get towards you maybe, or start with something real slow and heavy, like in a Sindel mirror match, they want to start off with this. You can just do this. I've caught so many people with this so many times, but I'm getting ahead of myself, or off. No, I'm getting off track. This move and this move are advancing mids. Now, this one isn't slow, 14 frames, but this shit, 19, it's a 5-frame difference, but keep in mind, this is 25 frames, so that's 6 frames off from being slow as shit. And while it is advancing, and it goes over lows, it's still just too slow as a mid. I know it's just doing its job. It has good range, but I really personally feel like it's just too slow. It gets stuffed out by a lot of stuff. And if you use this shit in the corner, you are getting fucked. Like, if you get a knockdown and they roll out, you are getting fucked up. I mentioned earlier that in this string you had different options outside of the overhead and different variation. That's it. The problem is that you're going to be right next to them for the punish. So regardless, if they block it, something's going to happen. They're not going to sit there and be like, oh shit, I wonder what happens next. This is it. Like, there's no follow-up to it either. You can't do this into another low or any special. That's it. It just ends. This one, even though you get pushed back, it's not as much as this. To where, like, something can happen. To where they have to walk back in. Like, Jax can probably just kick me.